Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show off a run on Goru, playing on impossible difficulty, just to really show off the kind of stuff you're doing with this. It is placed real simple. We're going to quickly check our book. There's not a whole lot we're looking for, but armor is something really nice. A lot of this is about optimizing keeping your souls. Keeping your health is also a big thing. Target Nova is a really big deal. Cell is incredibly lucky to get. I'm going to actually not pick that up just because it's going to snowball the run too early, and it's going to kind of skew showing off luck as a big deal here when it really should not be that big of a factor. Rend and Slash are both your must-haves. Rend for the early game, Slash for later once you can start getting your giant Slash. We're going to grab Rend first. We're going to go ahead and attack this archer here. Notice we do wind up having to take damage because we don't have enough to actually purchase this. I'm grabbing Swap over Slash here. Getting both of those later are going to be very, very easy to get, but we do want Swap at some point, and I am pretty okay with where I'm at right now in terms of damage output. But we definitely do want a movement spell. Swap is, I say, the preferred option here. You can recall. Okay. So again, we're going to go ahead and check our skill points here. I'm going to go ahead and buy 3 armor. I generally recommend that. It gives you complete immunity to ancients. Okay, now we're looking at what's our standard gameplay. And a lot of it's going to be, no matter what the first thing you're killing is going to put you in debt on your soul fragments. That's what we're using to cast here. Now, whenever you don't have soul fragments, you're using health. So the entire premise is that you are guaranteed taking damage. Let's try to make as much money as we can within that first cast. These 2 blood golems right here, they're going to give us 8 total. Let's go ahead and grab them. This is where Target Nova is actually such a boon to this sort of strategy. It gives you a really, really cheap targeting spell. All the other ones cost either 2 or 3 to cast. Okay, priests are very big. They give 9 soul fragments and they really don't have that much health, so they are really nice to find. Nearsighted is a must-have for later on, so we're actually going to hold on to that. Investment can be kind of fun. You don't really get a lot of skill points though, so getting that to snowball is really not the easiest. As you can see, it's only 3 Rends and we get the drop, and that is 9 soul fragments. It's a profit of 6. Pretty darn good. These blue flasks will give you 1 soul point. They're really not the best, but they're something. It's a little bit of a marginal jump you can get to get an extra cast out there. Sometimes it makes a difference. Okay, I'm just dragging all my junk to the corner. I really don't care about any of those spells. We can go ahead and run these guys down. Really what we're trying to do here is get the combination of these spells to be able to just clear the entire stage in a single round. Once the mob density goes up and we get upgraded forms of different spells and whatnot, we will be at that point, and this will get very easy, very, very fast. Alright, this is me in post-production watching back this stuff. Normally I would have just deleted this entire wave. Not a whole lot happens here, and it is just really, really slow. That said, this was the toughest stage in the entire run here, so I just wanted to at least showcase a little bit of struggle here. The inherent problem with this was just a lot of units that were spread out and don't give that many souls. The only cluster in particular that we could actually approach had a barrel or an urn right on top of them, so I couldn't just spawn there and nuke the whole thing, but you can still see how with just this very limited skill selection, we're still able to deal with a wave like this. It was particularly just because of the enemy selection. We were getting a lot of enemies that don't give many souls, but that stops becoming so much of an issue once we get around here in the game. So this right here looks like a pretty good spot. We get a Dark Priest, 10 souls, pretty big. Blood Archers are really rough to deal with because they got a high health capacity for how low their soul yield is, and they're typically quite an offensive threat. And so, you usually don't get quite a lot of good return on them. And at least include this one and get them out while we're dealing with our actual profitable kills. At this point, all this stuff is rather junk. We really don't care about any of this. Yeah, now, what I'm looking for is I want to deal with the stage. At some point, we're going to reach the point where we just get so much. Actually, I think we might be here now because we can cast with our health. And yep, go ahead and clear the stage. And there we have it. And this is what our main loop's going to typically turn into at this point, is we're going to be looking at what is the quickest way we can get enough spells or enough souls so that our target Nova can cover the stage and just clear everything out. Witchbane is really big. I'm actually going to go ahead and grab the point of that. We have quite a lot of souls. Okay, so, and here's the really nice thing with swap is when you're swapping with the body, you still get the souls. So you can really use this for getting around. Defiance damage reduction. There's an alternative as well that's for allies in the radius. These guys are really not that big of a deal. Typically the only two modifications you're looking for that are dangerous are your target immune and your damage limiter. Target immune is less of a problem here. Damage limiter is just because it's going to be draining your souls in order to kill. You're typically losing money killing them. Looks like we can spawn down here and actually get all of them with just a couple stacks. Plus we had our gold portal to be able to bail. Yep. Only thing attacking me are the ancients, and because I got my armor earlier, they do no damage. Gold portal, come right up here. And this will just make sure I can target everything a little bit cheaper. Whoop. Everything's all targeted. We can now just go ahead and start dropping rend. The nice thing about rend is because it's all conserved, one big attack, the animation's quicker, just so you can get it over with. But that is a big deal to note with dealing with things with damage limiter, is that means stacking rend, it is all one hit, so you cannot just use a ton of rends. This is the benefit that Slash has over rend, is that every single stack of this is a separate hit, so it resets the damage you're dealing. Dark Summoner Champion, I cannot see what his modifier is, but I still want to go up here because this is a regular Dark Summoner. That will get me a lot of money. Okay, let's see what we have. Curse Immunity. Curse Immunity is a little bit deceptive though, I feel like. It's not an actual true immunity to curse. What happens is they self-purify at the beginning and end of your turn, meaning that during your turn you can still use things like Debilitate in order to get that extra damage bonus. Thankfully, we are not even having to do that. 20 soul fragments, I think we'll actually be able to profit off of just using rend. I'm going to go for that. And we don't quite have enough to go through the portal. Nothing's attacking us, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass my turn. This will let me get a little bit more of a central location. And make sure we get this guy at the bottom. Fantastic. Swap with this guy, so put this right in the middle. And that should do it. Alright. Now we get Sell. Sell is really nice. It's not necessary for the strategy, but it lets you purchase a lot more skill points. In fact, just for the sake of fairness of showing off this build, I am not going to do that, but you can see the benefit here of I can sell all this junk here that I'm not using. There's a lot of spells in here I'm not using, like Confeeble, not using. I can sell all of these right here and use this to buy more cast range, more nearsighted, more Witchbane. This one's target immune. Now, there is a way to get past target immune because even though I cannot target him directly with my target spells, so I'm trying to cover the entire stage here. Let's make sure I actually get everything. So, notice, I cannot hit him. I can hit everything else. In fact, I can even go start killing everything. But if he is in my cast range, I can mouse over him, and you still get one physical regular target outside of your targeting spell. So this is just casting it on him as if I'm not using the targeting spell. The targeting spell is secondary and just duplicates everything else. So that's a good way you can get past target immune enemies, is just be close enough to them. Another reason to want to upgrade your cast range, because you can attack target immune enemies from across the stage. Alright, so we are going to start getting bosses to show up. We've got Goru, and the fun thing about battling Goru with another Goru is we can actually nullify his entire battle mechanic. So, mouse over Goru here. He plays with the corpses. He gets a lot of interesting interactions with those. One of the notable things is if we check on his description, let's actually move these out of the way so we can read it. Self-resurrects with half health on turn start, requires at least one soul fragment to activate. Emphasis on the idea that he requires soul fragments. Well, since we are playing a character that can steal soul fragments, all we have to do, drop them. We can swap with his corpse to pick up his souls. Now he has no souls, he doesn't revive, and the turn is over. Let's go through. At this point in the game, the density starts shooting up so much that pretty much almost anywhere we start will be enough to be able to afford our map-wide kill button. So we're gonna go ahead and start this off. This is where I was talking about Blood Archers have a lot of health. And that you typically don't profit off of them very easily. Okay. So at this point we've effectively won the game. There's not really a way we can lose here, but I am going to go ahead and show a stage in full a little bit down the road just so that you can see what this looks at higher level. Got a good start here actually. Target immune, but we can just manually target him. All these guys are within 25% of my radius. I mean, as you can see, very, very big bubble, so they're going to be taking nearsighted damage. And as you can see, Giant Slash just does so much damage, sometimes you don't even need to debilitate. I'm going to go ahead and slap it on there just for these bosses. And we really don't need any of these. This is really just, at this point, sell food, so that we can get more skill points, so that we can get more cast range. Go ahead, should target everything, and that should be that. Haven't seen this before, it's just right out in that spot. Huh. Okay. But at this point, there's really nothing else we need to do. We've kind of effectively won the game. Let's actually go above it. I don't know if I targeted him. So he was just targeting me this whole time. Yeah, Witchbane and Nearside, it's such a big off that it's very easy spell casts needed in order to drop them. And this will just keep going on at this point. And we'll deal with all possible modifiers. And no matter how healthy they are, we have souls for it. So, that 9,000 health is really not anything at all. Cool. Wave 2 of 3. Just kill the wave. I see you down there. Probably damage limiter. Just confidence damage reduction.